Today we're trapping our guests in an endless never-ending theme park experience to eventually spiral into madness with no way out. And we're going to do that by hypnotizing them in captivating stories, maze-like structures to get lost, rides and coasters that go on and on forever, and many more. Making you not believe how actually challenging this is going to get and how they will turn out by the end of it, especially when I actually want to make a beautiful park too. But to start trapping our guests inside one endless ride in Planet Coaster 2, we have to start with this empty grassy field, which I kickstarted with the usual few paths, first couple of shops, and a power generator to start things going. I need a good start because this video is sponsored by Frontier, and you see the trapped guest, you first need to get some. And even with people lining up to check out the park already from their bizarrely sized van, placing food and drinks strategically towards the left will lead them into our first section, the Ancient Beginnings. I loop-de-looped the path and terrained area to work with behind a beautiful hill ridge backdrop while I thought of what story I should make. I wanted to trap my guests in an endless park experience where I'll need to create a captivating enough story through my rides that connects all the themes of what I have planned today. And a little peek ahead, the story is going to get pretty unhinged and crazy. But for now, with our now sanded area, I placed the first ever ride atop a small mountain belly, a teacup type ride with a lot of vases and urns, which is an easy and friendly first ride and start that will create a false sense of safety before people get deeper into our endless ride later on, or rather make them dizzy and lose all feeling of common sense. But wait, yeah, we'll need actual guests, not these white robots. Remember, we are still setting the story, and if you haven't realized, I wanted to begin with an ancient civilization, as I propped up some sand walls, but more importantly, make the queue for that ride of ours. Theme parks usually put all their sneaky lore inside these queues, so it's super important. And that's exactly what I did, painting in a similar sandy flush and start adding temple ruins everywhere to suggest an old empire broken down civilization. Which is actually the best time to tell you guys how this challenge will actually take place, and the story I have planned, which starts with ancient humans, as the early aesthetically Greek peoples worship a magical urn from their prophecies, and they are obsessed with trying to dig and find this mythical artifact. The challenge is to create a ride that is endless, where our guest steps into a fun and engaging ride but only able to leave the other side, not being able to go backwards. What meets them on the other side are small rest sections that are designed to overfeed them, numb their senses, and make them lost. And of course, with more and more rides to get them deeper and prolong their stay in a system and story that is never ending, keeping and torturing them as long as I possibly can without them losing their mind or simply passing away. Especially with a captivating story that will follow how humans tackle the hunt for this magical piece of ceramics as civilization advances. That will keep even you guys watching guessing what's inside. So actually, during that whole explanation, I decorated the whole queue area with a quick small Greek structure from scratch and matched that with the everyday temple ruins and equipments. Even some decorative clouds to add some mythical effect. Thinking of an entrance, I decided on a strong muscular man with shredded arms and a mustache, pointing into it so even a buffoon can't miss it. Plus, he's irresistible, isn't he? I mean, okay, the story props here takes the form of piles of treasures and artifacts dug up with statues of people preaching the prophecy of a magical urn that can cure humanity, and they want to find it. Are you following me with the story here? Anyways, I spent setting that scene with houses outside to simulate a bustling active dig expedition and more statues preaching the word, as seen from this fallen statue right here. Wow, this is lazy writing. A garnish of trees and tiny decorations left, and wrapped it all up in a big marble pedestal that has been broken down over the years, all nestled in the middle of this section. Giant hands presenting the great almighty urn for all to see. Alright, that's all settled, so finally we can hire some staff here, making them unwilling and unknowingly helping our cause to trap and torment our guests against their will. Or maybe they're just as soulless as I am. Ew, look at him. Okay, with that said, our first introduction ride is now officially open, and scrumptious, clueless guests are now entering the queue, taking in the good story and lore. And they seem excited to try out these spinny cups, especially this little kid taking on the first ride. And so the mythical teacup spins, being an introduction attraction to our challenge. And with everyone actually really enjoying it, a full belly on all our guests, a nice breezy scenery, the customers literally giving me all 5 stars in mood, and a whole storyline in their heads. It's time to set the beginning of the never-ending ride with our main ride of this section, which they'll never come back from, and will keep going and going without ever knowing when they'll leave. But first, the station. I chose a track ride for this one because it's typically slower, which of course helps us in our trapping guests forever in this park agenda. So I first made the skeletons of our track making inclines, a few loop-de-loops to set some scene areas, and sudden turns, closing off with maybe a swirl downward and one final drop. For the aesthetics, I set the colors of the ride to be more white, and most importantly, test the rides to see and fix fix any errors and work out how well the turns and drops operate. A bigger splash with a giant drop at the end is on purpose to make them super wet, soaked, and make the hours, days, or years of their lives trapped inside our park rides more miserable and sticky. With the queue paths ready and a big old golden gate to entice them to come in, I use hundreds of white marble blocks to wall out the entire area and solidify the mythological look with decorations of ancient ruins and more. The next grueling part is into the main ride, starting with loads of flooring and terraining mountains for the main part of the ride as well as all around it too, making a cozy crater that I would sand everywhere down to the deepest armpits of this hillscape. The structures I focus on certain parts of the ride only because I have a little scary jump scare plan for this turn. With some rocks and trees, the best piece of the puzzle is placed, flooding the whole area to create an illusion of going through the spacious, pristine lake. Anyways, I think you see the vision enough, so I'll just run through the decorations as I narrate the story. First part is a bunch of lady statues staring at you, which I added mist to spookify it, being sort of a warning to our expedition goers. But the silly explorer you are, you drop into a windmill I made, milling the water around. I don't know. Most significantly, a bustling dig site of everything ancient artifacts, urns, and bottles with our magical urn-obsessed civilization trying to dig it up. And man, have they been busy. But it looks like they dug something else up. With a sudden trail of stone people, you can't help but to think something is wrong. Okay, I know this slushie is not era accurate, but let's just say it's like ancient slushies or whatever. It makes you wonder what actually happened to this civilization. Where is everyone? Why is everyone suspiciously shiny marble? I say as I prepare the big reveal with this strangely bouncing animatronic. Ew. So I'll let you guys see the surprise when the ride is open. For now, it's time to set the triggerables, a feature where you can manually set buttons that times and triggers our machines and animatronics, which I set as they accidentally dug into a secret tomb of Okay, that did not work. Let me fix that real quick and dig into a tomb where a Medusa comes out splashing to shock you. Pretty scary, right? So I built the temple before the Medusa with torches and frozen people, with our Medusa being a big hoarder of sorts, having too many urns in her lair. I sealed the ride to finish with one final sign that the one true urn is still out there, just before the final drop. I set the exit of the station where they enter the ride and can only leave the other side, and set a path down into the next part. And as you can see from the path, I have planned another genius trapping method for the next section. With that said, the ride is now officially open, and people are already slowly entering, being completely clueless that their lives will be trapped in a never-ending story designed by yours truly. Let's see how they react to the ride. They go up to the ominous ladies in stone, but can't help but to feel a glare telling you to go back. But to the first drop, it seems like it's going to be a fun ride, especially seeing all the cool shiny urns and artifacts. But what's inside? A thought as they wash into warnings of people turned into stone, then into a dark misty chasm where more victims are revealed. They found many urns here, but they go to turn, and bam! Medusa shocks you. Oh no, what am I gonna... Yeah, no, that was it. The rest of the ride is a calming escape past a pristine river, until an urn-plate prophecy whispers their final message to us before the final splashdown. Wow, how was that, guys? Pretty intense for a first ride, huh? Well, we have more coming, so stay focused. People are waiting in line to see the hot new ride, and that only means a steady flow of victims. I mean, a steamed guests coming into our endless ride trap and out the next part without no way back. So that only means I have to design something that imprisons them for good before the next ride. And that's going to be a fast coaster that is actually going to be my favorite coaster I've ever made. So to get to that, we begin with white walls painted fleshy pink, and the smallest staff area with a power grid just by the side, followed by the aggressive walling of the entire area with said fleshy wall, using it to make erratic turns and unpredictable walls in between. It looks like a hot mess from afar, but that's nothing George the mechanic can't fix. Yay, George the mechanic. I probably should stop spinning him, sorry. Yes, we hired a bunch of new staff. After that, each corner gets their own selection of food and drink shops, making it extra confusing to get them lost here, but also provide them with all the foodies they want to get them all fat and trap them into a cycle of comfort and laziness. And you'll be surprised how effective this will be. After painting the ground orange and covered the shops in the same meaty paint do to set the scene, even a picnic section, and of course some relaxing benches, because again, comfort is the worst trap of them all. With everything polished and adding extra gradient colors on the walls, I thought what better way than making their experiences more terrible with the decorations in the theme of the unsettling random pink flesh. Using the same moving robotics, I got some pink cubes to get these squishy boys in action. Ah, what a disgusting masterpiece. Placing it all around, I'll properly declare this sector as the Meaty Maze. These bad boys will definitely make anyone feel queasy, yet people from the last ride are starting to come in. I even saw some going straight to the food area as predicted. Into this squelching pink labyrinth, they'll check out each corner and feel the walls caving in. Then, things are setting in. You are trapped here. And evidently we have our first person panicking. In fact, even the game is telling us the guest can't leave, but we know that already. So before anyone starts to panic soon and realizes they're in the death trap of an endless coaster ride park, maybe I'll open up an enticing high-intensity coaster ride just in front of them. For it's time for our next ride, the Mines of Mischievous. You guys get the gist of it. It's an elevated coaster station placed, made a very cozy queue path, and colored the ride to a manlier color. And yes, I mean pink. You might be thinking, why a train? Well, the search for the urn continues all around into the industrial era. Yup, you're still sticking to that story. As brick walls, I used to build up a giant woodland mansion or saloon right outside the Meaty Maze, roofing it to cut off harsh sunlight, to sell that this isn't just a false area to convince our guests to get deeper into our trap. Placing small windows all around will help. Maybe a mysterious dark entrance out of nowhere will entice them a bit more. Okay, the inside. I first added a crusty fleshy detail to the entrance to make it seem like it's squished into the walls. With the inside being dark and musty too, I put in some holes to let in some light. And oh my god! Oh, and also flooring. Flooring that gets a little extra focus with lighting lights from above. Then the thinking cap comes on for decoration, something that fits the story too. And shooting the guests might be a little safety hazard, so I decided on a centerpiece that is a working mineral excavator, making a big rubble deposit as I place stony piles around, making the whole thing have a mining theme. While for the story, adding trains, equipments, and materials lying around like trolleys and bags showing signs of an active day at the mines. Placing extras like crates, ladders, and spools around them too, and everywhere else until I thought of a wanted poster. But not just any wanted poster, as I grabbed an urn from the previous ride and bam, put the urn in Industrial Humans' top wanted list. I'm improving this whole thing, okay? And trust me, it's just going to get weirder down the line. But for now, all you know is up to this era, the rumor of an elusive magical urn that holds all your desires inside still whispers around humanity. Okay, enough with the guns kindling, oh my god. Anyways, with a more welcoming guy in place, I think our queue is looking quite perfect enough to send to the customers. And we already got a bunch of super excited guests here with, wow, turns out they're actually screaming for their lives to go out. But I'm just gonna pretend they can't wait for the coaster ride, which of course I'm making right now. Going ahead with an incline lift to get some height, and this is going to be a high octane ride where the ride ends with them falling and exploding to die. I'm kidding, of course. The whole ride layout came together with sharper turns, more of those spins, and the areas to slow down into the end. And the final test is going pretty great so far. Oh wait. That was awkward. First try, wow, the final test is going perfectly. I'm so good at this. And the stats are just okay. I actually wanted more nauseous and fearful to get puke mixed into their already wet clothes, so I tweaked some parts to be scarier and faster later on. But all in all, the foundation of this ride is ready to get some sweet kindling love. Now, it's time to make it beautiful. With mountains I smushed into the coaster, adding big dirt structures and sculpting the coaster tracks through them, using that to visualize where the main scenes of the ride I want to be with valleys and flat peaks. All in all, terraining the sides to look like an actual mountain too. Yes, that includes poking holes through it for our train to go past. As expected, our scenery ratings are to the max, with our park reputation obviously in the dumps. So let's stick to what we're good at. They like the story and decorations and just ignore the complaints about being stuck in panic. Quick rundown. I tweaked the terrains, painted the area a mix of soil rock with dry grass over it, wood railings going up the mountains alongside the wood stations in the terraces, and wood railings that supports the mountain from collapsing in. After some good old-fashioned mining machineries I placed around, including using moving animatronics to make a minecart falling close to our riders to give them a little scare, I thought to myself, what's a mountain without rocks? So with editing magic, I summarized my grueling hours of placing rocks with a bim bam boop sprinkle dinkle boom. Now to the fun part. Let's do the first scene. I want to introduce them to a super cool battle scenario, unfortunately on a very rickety wooden stage with fallen wooden tables lying around. This will be perfect barricade for some Wild West people shooting towards us, and I added a lot of them. With more barricades and a cart in the back, we got our first scene. Next section. Firstly with trees and rocks to breathe some life into the area, then brought an urn over attaching some random bits and pieces of scenery like gutter pipes, aquatic lights, lampposts to build a sentient evil urn with a mustache. Yes, don't question it, this is where the story is now. Remember the wanted poster? So I copied a lot over to make an army of them all over this tiny nook at the top of this mountain. In these peaks, they've been looting passing trains and equipments to prepare for something big. But what is it? Well, you get hints of it with scaffolding and broken wooden structures on their last knees. With walls and support, you go down to where I start piling up and adding the same urns, using skinnier vases for teeth to build a giant urn monster. Yup, they have made a giant urn monster to destroy. I'm trying my best here, okay guys? Well, with more bandits shooting at the monster, it's time for the final theatrics of the ride. Of course, using triggerables again. I set explosion as we zoom through the gunfight, down to the smoke in the monster's mouth because there's no way this guy flosses. And more explosions along the final escape, timing it very specifically to play out for a powerful extreme experience. Wow, what a masterpiece I made. Now let's look back to our beloved guests that are going to, oh my goodness. Everyone is panicking now, realizing they can't get out. Overcrowded with people coming in from the previous ride and freaking their minds out. Yes, even kids too. Meantime, I'll give them some cool drinks to ease the chaos and prep the ride to open and finally give them a way out. It's time to see how intense and action-packed this ride is. But first, I made a path to the next part with a little shop sector with lots of yummy food and slushies, on top of eating areas to cool down here and relax. Little do they know what we have planned next will almost take the lives of every single one of our guests, literally. But the ride, yes, people are still panicking, even inside the queue, and that's bad for business because no one is literally sane enough to try the ride. So to tackle this panicking problem, I made a new path backwards and to the first section through a hole in the wall to leave. But not so fast because I added a big mean door that only opens for a few seconds every few hours or so, giving them a false sense of hope to escape and or get crushed by the terrifying weight of the steel doors. Even so, that tiny bit of hope worked, and even got ourselves some crowds using it to skip the line and straight into our trap. Speaking of, the now calmer guests finally come through the warm fleshy roads of the Meaty Maze, entering the queue of the Mines of Mischievous and await the train ride thinking they can finally leave the park. But say less customers, the train is coming to get ya. Come join us as they climb up the steep mountain before ooh, scary minecart. Down the mountain caverns, they go out to dodging the bullets of some shooting bandits and explosions. Through the mines, we now go up to some evil sentient urns camping up here. When you go through more horribly designed wooden shaft through the mountains and oh look, another evil urn, you realize the bandits are not shooting at you. It's a giant evil monster. But you're fast and you get to run through a highly explosive swirly escape route to safety. Wow, what a nice ride, I know. Please, you don't have to clap. So that is our second ride, and with people heading off the train, that just means more trapped victims inside our park. Which reminds me, let's get into our next challenge for them. And remember, this is one of the most dangerous ones yet. It's time for the blueprints, taking the form of sand wiggles I sprayed into the land. This will be the layout for our lazy river pool soon, so I tweaked it to make some more fluid motions because I still have standards when torturing my guests. Then, like a stencil, I added the pool along the sand, brushing the sand off after as if cleaning a sketch. With water filters and our guest overview surprisingly still with plenty of stars, you guys had just arrived and still clueless, while in the negative some said they wish they had a pool. So you're just in time. I quickly built some terrain around. And wait a minute, it kinda looks like a face from afar. Wow, he looks so happy, doesn't he? So I finished it all, making it more nature-based and focusing on the plants. Wait, what did that say? The swimming pool is unsafe? Whatever. Now let's get going with some changing rooms by the entrance. And tell me that does not look tempting to hop in. You see, what I have planned is a treacherous swim all across a super long pool river, besides some cool story plots they get to see. So technically a lazy river without the calming pool floats. And you have to chaotically swim for your life without stopping. Well, with the help of only one lifeguard. I'm gonna skip over the building here, but technically, so with the evil urns and monsters now destroyed and the urn nowhere to be found, what do we do with the story? Well, with the first few people in the pool swimming for a while now, and regarding safety, well, let's forget about that. It seems our plot is washing into the faint sound of wooden drums. Pirates. Our story swept us into the grasp of a pirate's cove, which I decorated with a bunch of treasure, broken ships, and all their tiny little settlements around. But most importantly is the one true magical urn that they've collected from the battle's debris washing down into their home. They got it, and they have the strength and numbers to protect it. So what could possibly happen from here in the story as I make the audience excited and forget about the people being tormented forever below? The twist. I used moving platforms where I scaled up an energy generator that will be a body for 2 radioactive tanks to be glued on as eyes, a space archway as little pincers and robot feet, with even tinier moving robot arms in it, finalized by the urn that this contraption so happily steal, and you got yourself an alien robot stealing the urns from the pirates. Naturally, we added an actual alien man that is doing his due diligence with this job too. You go, buddy. And if they survive the atrociously tiring swim across the lazy river, I placed an exit to the swimming pool, where the final part of our endless ride will take place. And that will be one monstrosity of a ride with maybe the reveal of what's inside the magical urn. But nah, looks like we have some swimmers already trying to escape the Pirate's Cove. Most of them were desperate here and already losing energy to swim. They honestly couldn't stop swimming because that would mean drowning, and right now they're all passing through the alien robot stealing the urn. So at least the story is still visible even though they're fearing for their lives. But some did make it to the end already, which means I have to make the next part ASAP. Honestly, our lifeguard is not helping at all, but he is actually stuck there for all eternity, so he'll get there. Now it's time to pump the numbers of our victims, guests, by placing more staff in the first expedition ride to get more people in. The minds of Mischievous staying crowded as ever, and a lot of people already hovering at the end of the lazy river. I don't know, we don't really want them drowning too. So with the endless stream of people raving to go out of the ride and already at the end, why wait for our next ride? And hey, maybe we'll finally understand the secrets of what's inside the urn. You can probably tell what the theme is for the next one, as I duplicated my robot masterpieces as the entrance to simulate entering it via abduction kind of thing. Anyway, setting up the stations for the final ride is pretty easy, as well as making the path for the queue. We have to somehow combine pirates, aliens, and a magical urn into the storyline. But for now, an airlock, cause like space has no oxygen or whatever, and walling the entire queue area with white metal to get a nice space with metal paddings and a big old generator as a roof so it feels like you're inside a spacecraft. The inside, I wanted it to be a sorting center of otherworldly loot the aliens undergo as they ravage planets, achieving that with random panels in the walls, laser scanners, and many fluorescent floor lighting and pillars, and basically just a bunch of control panels and trinkets in the walls to make it more spacey. Even a guest scanner. Yes, you will get scanned here. I moved over an urn and placed it in the main scanner, keeping the urn as the main focus where sparks burst effects brings out the visuals of lasers reacting to the magical components inside the ceramic pot. The light, a coal brazier lamp I changed to white because I like the glow, placing it all around inside the walls for a subtle gleam. Creative keenness brainstorming here, and brain I do be storming as I added something else. You see the aliens have been snooping through the Pirate's Cove and have brought some onboarders into the ship, which well just might be the theme of the next ride, wink wink. As the queue is set and the visuals of a not so monitored sorting center act as the start of the story, we shall get the roller coaster making at once. Boom, with a high rise and a nice spiral going down as an intro, testing the coaster going up, and what's a high intensity ride without falling and absolutely exploding and passing away? Okay, I did this joke already, it's not funny. Well, after some testing and getting the exact speed I like, as well as enough crispy turns and fun to my satisfaction, before I make this the most amazing multi-section fast and long ride ever, I have to look back into our beloved guests. Oh. Panic and desperate is an understatement, I see. It looks like everyone is almost feeling the same, but as long as they are alive, this is exactly how we want them. I mean, look, some people don't care and just swimming over their struggling friends. I would recommend my lifeguard, but he is in his post busy with helping, yeah, keep up the good work, fella. Even so, the end of the swimming pool is crowded with a couple of guests actually in good spirits, because what's more calming than the sound of drowning screaming? People over at the Minds of Mischievous are still showing the same excitement too, but being stuck here forever means they've been holding their pee for quite a while too. All around, they seem to be growing into their clothes pretty tightly because they've been here for quite a while. What's this? Oh, the guests are desperate? Yeah, get lost. Further back, the teacups ride is getting way quieter, because most of the people are already deep in my death trap. That signals to me that we are almost at max amount of guests I can torment. So to avoid clogging up the endless ride, I need to make the next ride quick. Introducing the next ride / endless death trap, the Space Blob. I want this one to be a longer ride to keep them inside one coaster experience for a gruelingly annoying amount of time, and pair that with a nice bit of darkness to flashbang their eyes when they go out. So I use these space background sheets and place hundreds and hundreds of them across our coaster foundations to make a big cosmic abyss right here. I did not realize how big this turned out actually. Oh my goodness, it's called a giant space blob for a reason. Okay, while our guest terrors at this giant black mass, this is going to need a lot of elbow grease to get open. With the long duration of the ride, we are going to divide the coaster into many different parts. To start the first sequence with a spaceship I want to make, using metal alloy panels followed by a coaster bay that will open. We will use the good old triggerables later on to bring this ride to life, so stick around to see that. With increased floor sizing and actually use reinforced windows as the walls because I like that tiny glow, building all up into a centerpiece on the other side where I wanted to introduce an important story plot, making a little archway with a hole in the bottom I filled with another openable space door. You see, I wanted to act as an ejector of sorts. The rest is slowly filling and piecing metal parts and space panels to build a little spaceship structure interior. Obviously, what is a spaceship without aliens all weirdly staring at you? And what's aliens without some cool space screens to click on? Then it's triggerables. Yeah, I just quickly set it to open the door in time, then making a moving magical urn animatronic and sequence that to where look, look, the door opens just like that, and the urn gets ejected into space to be fought for by... You shall see. I know you see the vision, guys. First, adding black space walls will separate different parts of the ride, with it being pretty dark, making a one-eyed version of the alien robot craft too, placing a few during the ascent. And yeah, the first part of the ride seems to be going smoothly. So on to the second part, the space battle. Remember, there's a little spiral down after the spaceship with a zoom upwards that have a fast-paced sequence in mind there. I added aliens and a moving platform, then lights at an angle to make them actually visible. You'll be seeing me doing this throughout making this whole ride because, you know, we're in pitch black. Therefore, using the same scaled up version of the brazier lamps I used before, we get that glow for the eyes of the robot. Spooky. And some lighting, of course, especially for the ship. This, I don't even know what I made. Wow, but because of it, I had an idea. Testing our fireworks outside to integrate into a zooming, bouncy ascent before and up into the space battle scene, with more lamps as multicolored stars, then the fireworks as shooting stars blazing past you going through the cosmos before seeing aliens shoot at you. Then into a large empty space, I have something super cool planned. Speaking of, we gotta make the battle more interesting than two wrinkly aliens shooting at you. Easily tackled by making a small spacecraft move with fiery jets behind and lights to highlight it, and where the aliens are shooting at. With all that covered, the rest was just making more of those ships around as our ride follows. High-speed action spacecrafts crashing towards you, many alien pods shooting at everything, and explosions on the tracks as our guests run through this section, again with good old triggerables, with a bigger explosion as a transition to the next part. It's time to make the final and most ambitious sequence of my entire history in this game. Section number 3. And to start it all off with an ultra slow pace pirate ship. Yes, with pirates scouting all around the ship and shooting cannons over the whole side of the vessel, and the lights to bring this puppy to the limelight. The thing is, the pirates have snuck into space and rise up to fight the evil alien civilization and ultimately steal back their magical urn. And with another pirate hijacked vessel that is a shipwrecked spacecraft turned into a fiery mess of flames and broken parts that the pirates took over, it shows that they have successfully stolen back what's rightfully theirs, the magical urn. And don't question me why they can breathe in space, just take in the story, okay? Nonetheless, we still need to make what they are fighting. So I built up this giant spacecraft body across the bottom of the expanse to make it feel like we're just above a giant mothership, showing the sheer force of the aliens' power, with the little guys doing their part as well. So let's check out the ride for ourselves. To begin, like any ride, we float upwards in the vacuum of space, accompanied with spooky green glowing alien robots, then into a cool little spacecraft that welcomes you with open doors, and wrinkly aliens judging you down before ejecting the urn into space. So you chase it, spiraling down into a cosmic abyss past a bright star-scattered cosmos with shooting stars. Then quickly into an intense space battle with aliens fighting zooming spacecrafts. Casualties everywhere as you swerve past the explosions and debris, escaping into, boom, the grand scene of pirates fighting back to the aliens too, while cannonballs and lasers flew across you. When you go up in a quick buffer pause, you see a pirate hijacked vessel looking the worse for wear, but in the possession of the magical urn. How did they get it, you thought? But down across a giant space alien mothership fighting back, you decide to escape back to safety. Wow, what a ride. What do you think? Totally the type of ride that would distract and consume guests that have been trapped in a theme park for years of their lives. Anyways, the exit. A bright light and a short brick road outside will be the signal of hope to our guests. Because if they reach this point, they might soon escape my trap, and we'll get to finally see how they turn out after all our horrors. But just you wait, because I still have traps planned for them. In the guest overview, the mood and assessments are finally going down, and the experience is more what I would expect it to be. The very first ride is now haunted by the backdrop of a giant black space blob. But don't you worry, little Jimbo, that's nothing to be afraid of. People have cooled down and are not freaking their brains out in our fleshy maze. So guests are coming back to it more. I mean, this guy has been here the whole time living off endless food scraps. On 10th, you disgust me. And of course, the occasional mom who's looking worried for their child. Don't worry, look at how healthy this kid that has grown out of his outfits and has flannels and jeans so tight that it's basically jorts. But other than that, the rest of our park seems stable, with the mines being the hottest guest trapper at the moment, and the last half of the lazy river being more crowded for sure. But still, with the so many folks fighting to not drown for their lives. Let's see how our lifeguard is doing, and okay, he's still looking at nothing. What do I expect? I think it's only time they hop off and head to our big ride. We still need to open it and see our guests get trapped into that long dark ride, where we'll set our story to finally reveal what's inside the magic urn. Does anyone have any guesses? So with our first few customers smelling the blank odor of space, I check the inside of our space ride and finally open it. A final hurdle for our guests to escape. Outside, I finalized the story with crashing robots, singed terrains from the impact, and most importantly, the hijacked vessel too, digging in a crash site with dirt around it as well, decorated with lots and lots of fire and smoke. There are new people just starting to be trapped into our endless story, and down here are older people who have been here for a stupid amount of time, which I bet are just ready to leave. Maybe a tiny bit curious about what's inside the urn though, so I made one final big road to finally loop back to the start, with a background of pirate-riddled space wreckages as people start hopefully walking out. But I still have one last test for them. I will not give them a rest, and it's simply by putting many stores and shops in the final stretch to lure and trap them in. And oh, how it works with this bald guy falling for it and going back to the park with a nice cup of cafe latte. But not all is bad. The now grown-up flannel boy had actually found love, a nice lady he met throughout being in this endless ride. And that made me wonder, I've succeeded in gruelingly trapping hundreds of guests into a torment of not being able to go home and physically draining them through non-stop rides. But I've also given them fun and made many beautiful rides that I'm actually really proud of. Blinded by my goal, I actually got trapped myself in the endless creative possibilities I can do in this game, and that's what matters. So to seal this park off, I added a minotaur that the pirates had made with the space parts they found to break the urn. And with final decorations and the lounging pirate bandits, the story ends as the magical urn gets slowly cracked open by the proud work of space pirates. Finally, at the end, we can reveal that the inside of the almighty one true magical urn is... I'm so sorry guys. Thank you so much for watching.